The lawyer that's currently helping RFK Jr. pick federal health officials for the incoming Trump administration has a request of the government. He wants them to revoke authorization for the polio vaccine, of all things. And I checked to make sure that this news had just come out and wasn't from 80 years ago. No, it's current. Mr. Siri has also filed a petition seeking to pause the distribution of 13 other vaccines, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, tetanus, diphtheria among them, challenged and in some cases quashed COVID vaccine mandates around the country, sued federal agencies for the disclosure of records related to vaccine approvals, and subjected prominent vaccine scientists to grueling videotape depositions. But just to make sure, don't you dare say RFK Jr. is anti-vaccine. There's no evidence of it. But anyway, on Aaron Siri, Mr. Kennedy said, "I love Aaron Siri. There's nobody who's been a greater asset to the medical freedom movement than him." And if the freedom movement he's talking about is like polio's freedom to move through your body, he's onto something. I think Mr. Siri is a big ally of that particular movement. And so Mr. Kennedy has maintained during this process, this transition process, that he doesn't want to take away any access to any vaccines. He said, quote, "You want to get the vaccine? It's America, a free country." He actually said that to Arizona legislators last year. Of course, the guy who's advising him is trying to stop you from being able to get those vaccines, a long list of vaccines for a number of different medical concerns. And so Siri's there with Kennedy. They're the ones who are questioning and interviewing these potential federal health officials. They apparently are asking candidates about their views on vaccines. So they're trying to make people put their guard down when it comes to this topic, but it's also incredibly clear what the litmus test is for these officials. And to be very clear, like they keep saying, and Trump is now saying this, we just want these things to be tested for safety, for their efficacy. And I know it's pointless to point this out yet again, but that very much already happens. These vaccines are tested here and abroad before being made available, and they are tested constantly after they're available to see if any of the hypothesized negative effects actually happen. There are more than 20 studies, including one that followed 660,000 children over the course of 11 years that have found that vaccines do not cause autism. Saying you want them to be studied is just a lie. It's nonsense. It's noises coming out of your face hole that have no meaning, because that has already happened on a massive Titanic scale, and it has not placated any of their supposed concerns.
So it's funny that polio is on that list, because before we get into our commentary, I want to play you the Trump clip because he just said this. So let's take a look here. This.
Hey, look, I'm not against vaccines. The polio vaccine is the greatest thing. If somebody told me get rid of the polio vaccine, they're gonna have to work real hard to convince me.
So there you have it, Siri. You've got your task cut out for you. Apparently that's going to be a hard one, but that's good. It's a little bit reassuring that Trump said that, right? And it's on the record, and he said it this week. Okay, so RFK Jr., I am so curious what's going to happen. I'm so curious whether he's going to be nominated. I'm sorry, not nominated, confirmed. And I'm so curious if he's confirmed what actually is going to go down. So look, I'm gonna do what I always do with RFK Jr. because I believe it, and then you can get upset if you like. And both sides can get upset. He has huge downsides, and he has some really interesting upsides. So now I've talked to you about his potential upsides in other contexts. His housing policy was great, but he's not the head of HUD, right? His anti-corruption policy was great, but he's not doing that either. By the way, I'd love to see the Kennedy files, but he's not in charge of that either, okay? So in the case of healthcare, remember, he's a former environmental lawyer. And as an environmental lawyer, what he would do is he would prod these companies that they sued into getting their documents and figuring out what they were actually doing, right? And he was really good at that, and the team that he was with was really good at that. And remember, at that point, he's, not even at that point, on those issues, he was considered very progressive, right? And he was, so that's not BS, right? So that upside is, can he find out certain things that the healthcare industry and the food industry wouldn't normally tell us? And the corporate establishment certainly wouldn't share with us even if they knew it. And his concern about some of the food additives like high fructose corn syrup is a significant problem in America. And as long as the establishment's in charge, we're never ever going to talk about that, right? Now the giant downsides. Are we going to question the polio vaccine? That's crazy. No. Look, some of these vaccines, even if you take them away for a little bit of time, it could cause a lot of damage. And then and the fluoride in the water and all that stuff. So when they look, I would say the same thing to him now as I said to him when he was on the show. Brother, how do you expect us to believe you over 99% of the doctors and 99% of the scientists in the world? That's too big an ask, right? And so, but one more thing about that though, which is that if you're like, when it comes to the confirmation hearings, how aggressively are people going to challenge him? And is the healthcare industry then going to spend money to make sure he is not elected? Because the last policy thing is the one that's right in the middle. His main thing is he always talks about, well, for these vaccines, I hate that they have a liability shield. Remember, he's a litigator, and a liability shield means that you cannot sue them, right? And for vaccines, there's good reason, otherwise it might really hinder our ability to get the vaccines out if they don't have a liability shield. On the other hand, when industries have liability shields, they start doing a lot of wrong things. So is that something that's going to get challenged, and how would it get challenged? So that's why, as there's big danger there, but there's also some interesting things. That's my opinion. Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to dispute on one of the first things you said, Jake. It is not reassuring at all that Donald Trump said, there's the polio thing, and anybody's going to have to take a hard time to convince me against that. Within a week, he's already backtracked on what tariffs, his promise to bring down grocery prices. And the stock market's actually going to dip here and there. He's nowhere solid on anything. We already know this. So convincing him to go back on something that he said he vows he's all about is not very hard. I still don't think necessarily he'll be able to convince him of that, but not because he's so hard in his principles and he stands by things that he says. But there's sort of zero alignment amongst this group of people that are going to be in this cabinet in Trump's White House. I've always been trying to figure out exactly how is this going to look. They don't align on many things. They have, they'll kowtow to Trump's demands because they want to be in positions of power. These are all self-interested guys seems like from top to bottom. There's the yes men, but they became yes men so they could get whatever kind of positions they need or whatever kinds of accomplishments they want to come across, or just for the simple fact of, who I was in the White House one time. These guys are not serious people. But still, so what's happening now is there's this whole energy and continuing energy of, they said they're putting these guys on grueling depositions and everything. We start every conversation now with, these people are coming to destroy America. Yeah, whoever that was gonna put them on some depositions. We're gonna say they're trying to kill us. Bro, if you have a position where you think that you can convince everyone that vaccines from top to bottom have been the worst thing ever invented in the history of man, you should probably have some pretty clear and concise evidence to show it. If you're right, that's an easy slug. You're in power. Just show everybody. Be like, listen, you guys have been screwed over this way, and the third. And the government has been not showing you these 4 to 5 to 7, 8, 9 things. Show us then, bro. Let us know how wrong we've been. If instead they have to go straight to, who the enemy is? It's enemy. And it gets to people's emotional and feeling process. So they're not thinking anymore. It's like, well, RFK Jr. said that they're my enemy. So forget whatever else someone actually says. Forget evidence. I'm mad now. They're keeping that energy going because it's an effective a tool to get people to do what they want. That's one of the parts we have to pay attention to.
So let me agree with a portion of that, and then I got a little bit of nuance on the second thing you said.
Don't dare.
So I don't want anybody to mistake what I'm saying. I think it's slightly positive that Trump is on the record on the polio vaccine. Is JR right that Trump might backpedal from that anyway? Of course. And like some folks on the right are not catching feelings that when you say, Trump said he was going to lower prices and now he gets into office. Well, it turns out that's hard. I don't know if we will be able to. And so people on the left have been saying, well, so he was obviously lying about that. He was saying he was going to do it. And they're like, how you can't say that he was lying?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, come on, guys. He said he was gonna, yeah. And of course he said, oh yeah, I'm gonna lower prices, and then he gets in and he goes, well, it turns out it's of course. That's why saying that you're gonna lower prices is like a typical politician thing to say, right?
Yeah.
And so anyways, the thing on what JR is saying about, hey, enemies, so like if RFK Jr. says it must be true, anybody opposed to him must be false, but I don't want us to make the same mistake, okay? So look, I knew RFK Jr. when he was a litigator, again, a tiny bit, but enough to he asked me about 9 years ago, can you put together a debate where I could debate a top level scientist on these vaccines, and I tried to the best of my ability, and nobody would take it. Right, and they're like, oh, no way, we're not gonna legitimize him, et cetera. But if he's going to be the head of Health and Human Services, it doesn't matter if you legitimize him, he's in charge, right? So I'll re-offer the debate, okay? And I know Patrick Bet-David, I was on a show and he's offering like $5 million if one particular scientist that's on CNN debates RFK Jr., no, I'll take any credible scientist, and I don't have any money. Okay, so I'm not putting up any money.
I'm willing to do the reading. I'll debate him for $5 million. I will do that. I'll give in. I'll take his side actually for the $5 million. I also just want to say, like, look, we all have very different ideas about the utility of these debates. Nobody's gonna change RFK Jr.'s mind. If decades of academia, the debunking of the original studies that he still relies on to this day haven't changed his mind, there's nothing that's gonna change his mind. That's the fundamental thing that makes me most worried about him, is that he does not actually appear to have a fundamentally open mind about the things he cares the most about, because he has not updated his understanding about this, and that's my big concern. And my larger concern is, like theoretically, maybe he goes off in some direction on this, and we're supposed to hope that like Trump is gonna check him. Trump also said in that interview, he wants to look at the chlorine in the water. So like, I don't know how much is left of Trump's brain to even check what's going on. It's not the chlorine, it's the fluoride, you doddering old fool.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, all right, super last thing based on what John said. On the debate, the point isn't to do a Matlock moment where RFK Jr. changes his mind in the middle of the debate. I hadn't thought of that. You're right. Okay, that's never happened, will never. Except in debates at TYT, sometimes Ben Mankiewicz or I, every once in a while went, good point, Ben.
I want a few good men moment. Right. I want RFK Jr. to yell, I can't handle the truth.
But what I'm hoping, and this is also probably a little bit naive, but for the people that are on his side, if they see a scientist making counterpoints that they haven't heard before, that maybe some of them go, oh, how come our side had never said that, right? And again, that might be a little naive, but I think that any debate, any discussion of the ideas is a good thing overall. And last positive on RFK Jr. is, now all of a sudden we have MAHA, right? Or MAHA, I don't know how to pronounce it, Make America Healthy Again. So there was a little bit of magic there, you gotta give him credit on this. He took people who were like, Michelle Obama's a dangerous Marxist for planting things in the garden. Oh, don't try to make American kids healthy, you're terrible. To, oh, we wanna make everybody healthy again, okay? And so, oh my God, did you know what's in our food? Okay, well, okay, good, at least you're looking at that. Slight
he
positive.
Didn't do that. A lack of a black woman in that position did that.
Yeah, it's somebody
it's tribalism. It's positive tribalism.
Yeah, exactly.
Which gives me so much, just hurts my opinion of humanity so much that it's that easy to switch things up in that way. But
thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.